Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Christian Homestead. I'm Jason. We're in the kitchen today, and we got a good one for you. It's Angela Kay's mom's. Okay, it's going to say my mom's, but it's not my mom's. It's Angela Kay's mom's. It's her recipe for pork chop potato bake is what it is. It's actually going to be Angela's take on it because she's probably going to maybe season it just a hair differently, but similar. You know, it's really Angela's mom's pork chop potato bake, and honestly, it's delicious. I'm excited for it. It's going to be 2 nights for us again because it's just 2 of us. But I'm going to take you over here and let Angela Kay show you how to get done, okay?
Okay, you want to start by seasoning your pork chops. My mom always used the thin cut bone-in. I'm using boneless because that's what I have. But some of these are a little fatter than others. Mom always used the thin ones.
Trim the fat off of it.
You want to trim the fat. That's very important because it's going to make everything too greasy.
Yep.
So trim as much fat as you can off. Season them on both sides with seasoned salt and black pepper. My mom always used Lowry's seasoned salt. I'm using Redmond's. And now we're going to brown them. You just want to put them in the skillet and brown them up. If you have to do it in batches, then that's fine. But you just put them in here, brown them up on both sides. And once they're brown, just set them on a plate and set them aside until you get ready for them in the next step. Now these are all browned up, but do not cook them till they are done because they will bake in the oven, and you want that juice from where they are baking to go down into your potatoes.
Yeah, and it'll be overcooked too.
Yes.
Too much. Yeah.
So now you want to get started with the potato part. Now, I am doing this in a bowl for videoing purposes. My mom always just threw it into the 13x9 pan and mixed it all up in the 13x9 pan. And that's what I would do if it wasn't for videoing purposes. In this bowl, we have a 32-ounce bag of hash brown potatoes, of frozen hash brown potatoes. But these are not your shredded ones. These are the diced ones. Some places call them diced, some places call them Southern style.
Okay.
But you can, if you can't find these, you can use the shredded, but it's going to be better with these.
But you need 2 pounds of diced potatoes?
Yeah.
So if you want to dice 2 pounds of potatoes yourself, you could.
But you would also need to parboil them just a little bit because these have been parboiled.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because otherwise they may not get done in time.
I see. I see.
So I'm going to sprinkle in just a little bit of salt and some pepper. And my mom always sprinkled just a little bit of seasoned salt in here too. Just a good little sprinkle. And you got to remember, potatoes absorb the salt. So be a little more generous with the salt. But you are also, remember, you are about to add some salty ingredients and some that tend to absorb salt.
Yeah. Yep.
So next we are adding 1 can of cream of celery soup. I do homemade, which I will put a link to that video. I will put a link to the video to my homemade. But Mom always just used can. To this, we add 1/2 cup of milk. The only thing I remember Mom measuring for this was the milk and the cream of celery soup, because you had to measure it because it was 1 can.
It was pre-measured.
Yeah.
Measured in the can.
So, as far as the sour cream, because that's the next thing you're adding, Mom just added a blob. I would say it's about 3/4 of a cup. Mom just added a big spoonful. And to this, you want to add French fried onions. She put in about 1/2 cup, maybe a few extra. She would take a small can and divide it between this mixture and the topping. So she put about 1/2 cup in here and the rest on the topping. And then probably a good cup of shredded cheddar cheese. You can use sharp or mild. I'm using sharp. Mom always used mild. Now, this dish right here, I have no idea where Mom got the recipe from. Or if she even made it up herself. I have no idea. And notorious for me. Notorious for me. Oh. I got a bowl that was too small. So I'd probably been better off stirring it in the pan like Mom.
Inevitable. I love you to death, but you never get a bowl that's big enough.
No, I don't.
Just dump it in the dish.
I would have been better just doing Mom's trick. But I have no idea where Mom got this recipe from. I have no idea. But she may have just made it up herself. I don't know. But Mom always made Sunday dinners. We would come home from church and she would make Sunday dinner. And it was always a big dinner. To the point that my cousins, we went to church, all went to the same church together when I was growing up. Me and all my cousins, her sisters that live here instead of in Tennessee, we all went to the same church together. The cousins always wanted to come home with us on Sunday because they knew Mom was making a Sunday dinner, complete with dessert and everything else. So this was often a Sunday dinner for us. This and usually home canned green beans and usually cornbread. And maybe some pickled beets or some home canned pickles. And usually what was for dessert was her chocolate covered cherry cake. That was for dessert a lot on Sunday because it was everybody's favorite. Now, as you can see, it's all nice and creamy, but I am going to add a pinch more salt because that sour cream, it will take some salt away. So I'm going to add a good couple of pinches and probably a little bit more seasoned salt. Now, you want to mix all that up really good. Make sure you've got all your salt mixed in. And see, I only lost a few potato squares.
And once it got mixed in, but once it mixed in, it kind of broke down a little bit and it came together. So it's not that big of a deal now.
Now I'll tell you, with these diced hash browns, you're going to find ones that are called O'Brien that have peppers and onions in them. You don't really want that for this. Right. Because the flavor of the peppers and onions is going to way overpower everything and you don't really want that. Now we have a 13x9 greased baking dish. And I'm going to throw my potato mixture in there. You want to get all that goodness out of there. And just spread it out. Like I said, if you don't want, Mom always said, what's the sense in dirtying up a bowl when you can just mix it in the pan? So if that's what you want to do, just go ahead and do it that way. My favorite part, as a kid, my favorite part of this whole thing, I loved the pork chops, but my favorite part was the potatoes. Because the potatoes were so good, especially with that pork juice going down in them. Because the next thing, you want to put your pork chops on top. Now, I'm doing 6. But Mom always did a lot because it was 5 of us to feed. Plus more if cousins came home with us. And my dad was a very big eater. So Mom always did just like shingled the pork chops on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Jason's had this.
Oh yeah.
And now you want to cover it. Either if you don't mind foil touching your food, just cover it with foil. If you mind foil touching your food, cover it first with a layer of parchment paper and then a layer of foil. And put this in a 350-degree oven for about 50 to 55 minutes. You'll check it at that point and see if your pork is done. If it is, then you will take it out and uncover it, and I will show you the next step then. Okay, this is out of the oven. It baked for about an hour. Now you want to leave that oven on because we got to do the next step. Now we are going to top, especially the pork chops, but you can top the whole thing. I'm going to concentrate on doing the pork chops with about a cup more cheddar cheese and about a half a cup more French fried onions. When I was little, my mom would always mix the French fried onions while it was baking. She would always mix the French fried onions and the cheese together, and she would put it in the refrigerator. And I would sneak it in there and get little pinches of it because it was so good. Now we're going to pop this back into the 350-degree oven until the cheese is all melty and everything's all bubbly, which should take about 5 to 10 minutes.
Look at this beautiful bite of food right here. Assuming it stays on my fork this time, I bet it's going to be absolutely delicious. Due to the power of editing, you missed the previous 2 bites that fell right on the floor. So, I'm going to taste this one. I'll be honest with you. It's amazing. It's been a long time since we've had it. Maybe it's because I love Angela Kay, maybe it's because she's an amazing cook. Probably a little bit of both. That's the best time I've ever had. And that's amazing. Just delicious. Great food. We're sticking to your ribs food, just so comforting and homey. We got some homegrown green beans sitting right here next to them to eat. Some sweet tea on the table. So I'm going to get the heck out of here and go eat my dang supper. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. That's the amazing Angela Kay holding that camera. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.